Alright, people. My name is James from This is Kung Fu Havoc number 2. So I'm going to make this video now because I've been watching a lot of videos here on YouTube, and some of them apparently don't have a whole bunch of facts right. Alright? So as you know, between 2008 and 10 was my first experience of the word Redcon and Reconing in the Marvel and DC universe. In the Marvel universe, there was so much changes going on that I'm going to take you back before that. Because a lot of you people who watch Avenger movies and things like that, what you fail to understand is there was actually two Thors. Alright? So, to be quite blunt, only 3 people has really been able to hold Mjolnir. There's Thor, Odin's son, the real Thor. There's Eric Masters, Earth Thor, and there's Beta Ray Bill. Okay, so in case you guys don't know, and if you're not up to speed, I don't know what happened to Eric Masters. He stopped being called Thor in the early 2000s and started calling him Thunderstrike, which by then he had his own hammer and he was Earth Thor on the Avengers team, and the real Thor never came back to Earth. He stayed in Asgard and battled everywhere else but Earth because he figured that Eric Masters had a hand on it. Now, in case you want to know, yes, both of those Thors clashed. Eric Masters lost. At this time in the comic book, the real Thor didn't have facial hair, and Eric Masters had facial hair so that people wouldn't get them confused, and the fact that the white stereotype of all people looking alike was kind of that, and Eric Masters does kind of resemble Donald Blake and stuff, but Donald Blake was actually really real Thor. Alright, so if that didn't confuse you, this probably will. Stormbreaker actually belongs to Beta Ray Bill. It does not belong to Thor. It has never belonged to Thor. Mjolnir has always been Thor's hammer until Eric Masters had it, and then he was Earth Thor. Then he and Thor went to Odin, and Odin decided to give him a real hammer. Now, about this time, somewhere between those things, because I'm going to get to the point of the video, this is just a quick summary of Eric Masters. Somewhere between those times, Thor was in love with Circe, who was a sorceress. And if you're not a Thor follower, you have no idea what I'm talking about, but everything I'm giving you happens before 2008. Alright? So back in the 90s, between 96 and 97, Thor, Eric Masters, and Thor, Odin's son, had a fight because Thor, Odin's son, was in love with Circe, who she was fond of Eric Masters, but there was no relationship there. It was more like an emotional relationship. There was no cheating. And Thor, Odin's son, beat the holy hell out of Eric Masters' Thor, which really pissed off Odin because Odin knew what was going on and he just decided to let them work it out themselves with male bravado, and they had a fight. Earth's Thor lost, which is when he decided that he didn't want to be Thor anymore, and he dropped the hammer at Odin's feet and said, you know, I could do bad by myself, and he basically left Asgard and went back to Earth. However, he was summoned back to Asgard by Odin himself and told him, okay, you can still be Earth's Thor. I'm going to give you this new hammer, and it will be yours until you die or whatever. And then he became Thunderstrike. So that's your summation of Eric Masters. Now let me break it down to the reason why I'm making this video. So, a young man on YouTube, I don't know what channel, everything I know about Marvel no longer exists. So let me get that out of the way first. Everything before 2008 and 2010, when the Guardians of the Galaxy was revamped into just Guardians, which I didn't know, so I didn't go for that book. I stopped reading Guardians of the Galaxy because Vance Astro was no longer the leader. There was no longer 13 of them. I don't know how that fucking shit happened. I blinked and that pretty much ruined everything for me. So, you know, I've been hunting down old Guardians of the Galaxy comics. I have them, so you have no idea who Vance Astro is. He was the leader before Star-Lord, and then they find a way to make it know that Vance Astro and Yondu and all them, their timeline is way deep in the future. It would be like, if you watch the Kevin Sorbo show, Andromeda, it's connected to Starfleet, but it's way deep in the future where Starfleet has been, like, eradicated or whatever. Which is why you have all these new aliens and some Klingons and things like that. It's because it's so deep in the future that you don't know what the hell's going on, and I didn't know what the hell's going on. I didn't know it was connected to Starfleet. I just knew that Gene Roddenberry wrote it. Okay, so that It has nothing to do with this, but you get the concept for the Guardians of the Galaxy. Now we're moving on to Thor. Now, the video I saw showed that Thor was no longer Marvel's strongest or mightiest hero, and that Thor was no longer a god in the sense of how he was in 2000 and before all that. Now, the reason I brought this up is because if you know anything about mythology, and if you know anything about gods, gods aren't supposed to be able to die. Alright? And gods are supposed to be the most powerful beings in the Marvel Universe because there's nothing stronger than a god. Okay? So whoever the guy is made the video, apparently the universal beings now are stronger than gods, which I don't understand how that works because at one time in Marvel, Thor was the strongest of all the Marvel characters in the annuals and in this Marvel Universe in general. No one really fucked with Thor. They could give him a run for his money, but no one is as powerful as Thor, not even Odin himself, which was kind of confusing. It's like, okay, if Odin is the father of all the gods, and not counting the Greek gods, but of all the Marvel gods, and Thor's lair, Odin is basically supposed to be the god of gods, and then Thor right behind him, who's supposed to be the successor to the throne, when Odin decides to go wherever gods go for their afterlife, if there is an afterlife for gods, which is not logical. Don't try to logicalize it, because it's only going to make your head fucking explode. Now, sometime between 2008 and 2010, the Marvel Universe took a big, bad, funky shift. And this all was the result of Scarlet Witch twins, which she had by Vision. Not the first set of twins she had by Vision, for those who aren't keeping track. But she had a set of twins by Vision way back in 1983. Okay, I do not know the kids' names, and I'm pretty sure they were both identical twins, and they were both boys. I don't know how that works because Vision is is actually an android. He's always been an android. So that being said, is some confusing ass shit. Go ahead, fact check it, Google it, whatever you want to do. But after the Reconing, everything that I'm telling you now no longer exists in the Marvel Universe. So basically, if you want fun facts, that's basically what it is. Because after the Reconing, nothing that I say in this video counts anymore. So when people ask me about my Marvel knowledge, I'm pretty much screwed. So moving back on. Okay, so Beta Ray Bill, I forgot what his species is, but he's the only other person besides Eric Masters that had the ability to pick up Mjolnir. And that was a big fight on the spaceship where in the end Beta Ray Bill did wind up making Thor go to one knee but still losing the fight. And he took Beta Ray Bill to Odin. Odin gave Beta Ray Bill Stormbreaker because no one else outside of Thor and Eric Masters could pick up Mjolnir. That being said, moving back on to Thor. So as you know, Thor can fly with or without the hammer. And in the Marvel Universe, they've made it abundantly clear that he doesn't need the hammer. The hammer is what he uses to channel his powers, etc., etc. Well, in the comic book, he didn't really need the hammer either. But he used the hammer again to channel his powers. He used the hammer to channel the lightning that he can pull from the sky instead of shooting it out of his hands. And at one point in time, he was destined to marry Storm. I don't know when that got fucked up, but it got fucked up because technically Storm is a god. Don't ask. This is before the big old clusterfuck that became the Redconing of Marvel. Now, my facts are going to be a little off for you young people who were not born before 1975. But if you were born between 73, 75, and ahead, X-Men was created in 1963. Avengers came before that. Fantastic Four came before that. And all of them hit cartoons before the X-Men ever hit cartoons. And the X-Men popularity came through with Spider-Man cartoon of 1983 or 84, whenever Spider-Man and his amazing friends introduced Iceman and Firestar, which again has nothing to do with this because this video is supposed to be about Thor. But just for your fun fact there, that was that. With Thor, once Eric Masters became Thor, the Avengers had split by then into East Coast and West Coast. And for the most part, Thor was never there. So Earth Thor, Eric Masters, was doing double duty. Sometimes he was on the East Coast comics, sometimes he was in the West Coast comics. And it just depended on when Iron Man or Cap, whoever the hell needed him first, made the call. Then eventually Thunderstrike set out on his own, and then after that, I have no idea what the hell happened to Eric Masters. Which is like the same thing with U.S. Agent. I have no idea what happened to him either. And then, yeah, he was Captain America replacement, and then got his job back. It's a long story. We'll do another video about that another time. Anyway, moving back on to Thor. The thing with Thor is that, when they stopped making the gods of Asgard gods, is why I'm making the video. I don't know when that happened. It had to be between 2008 and 2010. Because those were the times that I started to stop my collecting of comics. Not because the prices went up, but because they screwed up the X-Men universe so bad, they screwed up the Guardians of the Galaxy universe so bad, the Spider-Man clone thing with Ben Reilly, Kane, and Spider-Side, Jackal, Venom, Anti-Venom, and Peter Parker, and the 7 different comic books in the comic where Spider-Man became like 6 different damn people. He was Ricochet and some other people, and I don't know, and Dusk or whatever the hell it was, because he had caught another symbiote. I don't understand how all that shit wraps around, but it does all wind up wrapping around, because everything that I'm saying happened before 2008 and the Reconing of the Marvel Universe. But eventually, the gods started being able to die, which really threw me off, because they're gods. And if you're familiar with Greek mythology and the twilight of the gods, with the Titans and the gods fighting, etc., and Hercules wanting to either kill Zeus, depending on if you want to go by the book or if you want to go by the TV show, either or, that kind of stuff that goes on. The bottom line is, gods aren't supposed to die. So that's a big fat no to the Marvel Universe. How in the hell is gods supposed to die? I mean, Thor was supposed to be the strongest guy in the Marvel Universe. According to the angles, Thor can lift up 1,000 tons, not just with both hands, but with one hand, while no other Marvel character could do that. Now, let me end this video with Thor with the simple fact that now that the gods can die, I'm not losing my fanage towards Marvel. It's just that it kind of hurts my feelings that they royally screwed him. But yet, a universal being named Silver Surfer or Galactus has never been more powerful than gods, even with the power cosmic and all that. But now they're like up here and gods are down here, which I personally think is bullshit. And if we go through any of my comic books, we can prove me correct. I'm James Williams Jr. This is Kung Fu Havoc number 2. Hopefully I gave you guys a Marvel and Santef update, and I'm going to make a second video which I'm going to specifically talk about certain characters, which would be like Hawk, Colossus, Juggernaut, etc. Thank you for watching. Be seeing you.